Yo, what is up guys? It is Matthew Maz Fishing, and I hope you guys are having an absolutely awesome day, getting out doing a ton of fishing, because I know that I'm not. I'm stuck inside making videos and shipping orders. Just kidding guys, I'm having a great day. But today I'm going to take you guys a little bit in depth and show you guys how to tie up a tandem rig for steelhead. This is going to be using beads. These are using some silver bullet baits beads. My company, make sure you guys check it out if you haven't already, www.silverbulletbaits.com. I really appreciate it. We've got lots of sick colors. They're bound to get you on some fish. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first things first, we are going to have to get our leader line. So I'm gonna be using the Seagar trout and steelhead stuff. This is in a 6-pound, works for me, works for the majority of situations, don't tend to have too many issues with it. And to start, we are going to grab a nice solid arm's length. You wanna give yourself a little bit of extra room to play with in this case. The tandem rigs are a little bit tougher to tie up, and sometimes you'll use a little bit more line and sometimes you'll use a little bit less. So I probably have about probably about a 3.5 foot section of line here, and we're gonna start by tying that onto our swivel. So guys, there you have it. We now have our leader tied on to our swivel. I used a simple palomar knot. It's what I tend to use when I'm tying directly to my swivels. It works, it's super strong, no reason to change it. Don't fix it if it's not broken. So the next step, now that we have our leader tied onto our swivel, is to actually get our beads. So the beads I'm going to be using in this one is the 6mm Silver Bullet Baits Frosted Ice. That one's a frosted clear bead. These work super well, and I usually use a red bead peg on those guys. And then we have our 8mm Pale Peaches bead. These guys are really awesome as well. Nice natural color. It's kind of like a pink with a bit of like a white mixed into it. I really like these beads. I tend to use them quite often. So the first thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna rig the 6mm as the upper bead and the 8mm as the lower. There's no particular reason why. You guys can do it whatever way you want. I think the reason I tend to do it is I like to have the 8mm close to the bottom. It's a little bit larger, and it also helps to actually pull that other bead down a little bit. So first things first, we're gonna grab that 6mm bead and just thread it onto our line. And for now, you can let that bead slide all the way to the swivel, and you don't have to worry about it. Next step is to grab your hook. Using a little Silver Bullet Baits prototype hook. This is a size 10, nice and small. We're gonna find the end of our leader line, and we are going to thread the line through the eye. So in this case, you're gonna be tying a palomar knot to actually get the upper hook onto your line. So where you're gonna wanna position the hook, depending on the length of your leader, you want it roughly to be, I'd say about a foot from the bottom of the leader, maybe a little bit higher, a little bit lower, give or take. You can experiment a little bit with this, find what works for you. I typically go about a foot, maybe a 1.5 feet from the bottom of my leader line. And so what we're gonna do then, find that 1.5 foot mark and tie up a palomar knot. So for the purpose of this video, I am gonna try to show you guys how I actually tie the palomar knot to show you guys why it's so important. So first things first, we just threaded the line through the hook there. You can see our hook's now dangling on our line. I'm gonna grab it. It's super hard, I don't have a macro lens, so I can't really get super close. Now we're gonna thread the line back through the eye there and pull it. And this is gonna be how much line we're gonna actually have below our hook. So about a foot to a 1.5 feet. So now what you should have is your hook on your line with the line going through it twice. You can see I have a little loop here. That's exactly what we want. So now slide that hook close to the loop. And you're gonna go and do just a simple overhand knot on the line using the loop. I'm sorry if this isn't the best. Sorry if it's a little tough to see guys, but there's tons of videos on how you can do these, but I wanted to try to show you guys as best I can. So now we have our little loop in our line there. Hope you can see that. Now we're gonna go and actually put the hook through the loop. And we're gonna give it a little lubricant and cinch it down. So this is now what our rig looks like. We have that bead, which is sitting loosely on our line. We have our hook, which is sitting in the middle right there. and about a foot to about a foot and a half down, we have the end of our leader. Now, a very important step to do, once you actually tie the palomar knot onto your line, you can grab the tag end, and what you're gonna do is one more time through the eye of the hook, put that leader through it. Now this is a crucial step. I dropped it there. I'll explain why to you guys in just a moment. Pull it down. It doesn't have to cinch or anything like that. But now, if you saw before, the hook was kind of oriented facing downwards, which it's not a huge deal, but it's not ideal for what we want. Now you can see that hook is oriented upwards. You'll see the majority of guys who bass fish will also tie palomar knot this way, and this is really how I kind of learned it, was actually from bass fishing, and it's how you tie your drop shot rig. So if it was a little bit tough for you guys to see, you can also look up how to tie a drop shot rig, and they'll tie that hook in the exact same way. So now that we have our bead, which is sitting loosely on our line, and our top hook, we're going to peg that bead in place. So with these frosted ice beads, as I was explaining to you guys earlier, I like to use a red bullet peg. These guys are awesome, and I use the red because it helps to simulate like a blood dot. So I'm gonna slide that through, make sure the one end's nice and flush on the bead. And now we have our tag end left. We're gonna just grab our little cutters, cut that right off. And we're gonna orient this the same as if we were going to rig a single bead. We wanna be roughly about 1.5 inches to 2 inches above our hook. So there's our hook right there, and here's our bead now pegged in place. Again, that's the frosted ice bead with a red bead peg and 6mm. So now that we have that all done, we are going to move down to the end of our leader line, and the next step is to slide the second bead on. So again, we're using the 8mm Pale Peaches. I'm gonna slip that onto our line, and you can disregard it. Just give it a quick drop. You can free flow for now. You just wanna make sure obviously that it's sitting above your hook. Now the next step is to grab your other hook. Same hook, I'm not using anything different. It's the exact same hook as I have on the upper there. And this one, we're gonna tie a snell knot. All right guys, so now we have that snell knot tied on. This is what our rig is looking like. We have our hook at the very bottom, which is in my hand there. We've got that 8mm Pale Peaches bead loosely sliding. We have our upper hook and our upper bead, which is that 6mm frosted ice. So the very last step now, and what we're gonna do is grab our little Silver Bullet Baits shorty peg. We're gonna peg that lower bead in place the exact same way we did the upper. Slide that through. So find the hole in the bead, slide the peg through. You're gonna wanna make sure it sits nice and flush on one side. This is what our bead now looks like. Now we're gonna make sure that we trim that excess off. So grab your cutters and give it a snip. Last, you wanna orient the position of the bead so that it's roughly about 1 inch to about 1.5 inches to even 2 inches from that hook. So there you guys have it. Now we are just about done. We have our rig all set up. Tandem rig's looking good. On the bottom side there, we have our hook. We have our 8mm bead going up to our second hook with our 6mm bead, all the way up to our float with our swivel and our weights. So there you guys have it. That is basically how to tie up your tandem rig using 2 beads. Now the exact same principles can be applied if you want to use, say, a 10mm and a 6mm bead, or 2 8mm, 2 6mm, 2 10mm, etc. You can use any size of beads to do this. There's no rules, and that's the cool thing about fishing. It gives you the ability to be creative and do what you think works, and sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't. So I want to say thank you guys very much for watching. Again, if you haven't checked out Silver Bullet Baits, make sure to do so, www.silverbulletbaits.com. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do so down below. We got lots of sick steelhead content coming very soon. Opener is just around the corner, and guys, I cannot freaking wait. I am so excited. Thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great day, and peace.